He got out of the truck, looked around, He says, this isn't where it was when I was a kid.
When I heard Woody's claim, it piqued my interest.
So? He says, yeah. So we walked up the ridge about, I'd say 50 to 100 yards, somewhere up there. He says, this is where the site was. They moved it. So where it is right now is down the ridge from the original location. Yeah, and that's just, local history nobody knows.
Yeah.
Of course, I've been here 70 years, so.
Following my own research leading up to this journey, I wanted to further investigate Woody's claim. My research has led me to the acquaintance of the leading scholar on the Butterfield Overland Mail Route and a personal inspiration of mine, Mr. Gerald Ahnert. Gerald was a source of new information, full of great primary sources which are historical gold. While the trail I traced led me to what certainly had been employed as a means of water storage, corralling, or other general logistics, nothing I found in the entire valley indicated that the current location was anything but the historical spot. What's more compelling at this location was the story of Silas St. John and the massacre at Dragoon Springs Station. In 1858, Silas St. John, James Burr, Preston Cunningham, and James Lang from the Butterfield Company, along with 3 laborers from Mexico named Guadalupe, Bonifacio, and Pablo, constructed the corral and the fortified station deep in the heart of Apache country. Late in the night of September 8th, while one of the laborers stood fire watch, he woke the other 2 and they attempted to murder the Butterfield team in their sleep. Startled by a violent noise, Silas St. John called to Burr while his head was being crushed in by a hammer. The laborers then burst into St. John's quarters, striking him in the hips and arms with axes in raw hand-to-hand combat. Regardless, St. John parried, returning a striking blow to his assailant and grabbing his rifle. Following a misfire, all 3 set upon the lone survivor, ready to kill. Without hesitation, Silas St. John drew his revolver and shot Pablo, who was later found dead in the desert. All 3 men cowardly ran into the night, while Silas St. John stood watch, transcribing the incident as he feared he would die. Fortunately, death spared St. John, and 4 days later, he was rescued. As we work to recognize the significance of the Butterfield and truly connecting our nation in its early years, it's never more clear how our modern infrastructure mirrors these same lines that John Butterfield and his men set out to conquer. That same infrastructure has enveloped the site of Ewell Station. Today, the station's no longer standing, but it lies in the shadow of the Dos Cabezas. The Dos Cabezas can be seen on the left side of the frame, representing 2 heads. What also remains are the rolling hills that the Butterfield traversed. The trail then leads through El Puerto del Dado, or more commonly referred to as Apache Pass. Fort Bowie was established in 1862 due to its proximity to the nearby spring, which you can see here as a cistern. In its prime, this was the heart of contested Chiricahuas and Coyotero Apache country. In Farwell's 1858 account of the trail, he recalls the conductor suggesting to ready any guns and pistols as they came through the pass. While the Apaches typically steered clear of federal mail trains, a botched capture of Cochise by Lieutenant Bascom resulted in retaliatory action by the Apaches. A wagon train suffered a complex Apache ambush for the first time. This was followed by a prolonged 16-day skirmish between the Apaches, the troops, and the Butterfield Station. While the besieged station sought water, the Apaches raided, running off the mules, capturing 14 and 42 of the government's, killing another Butterfield man and wounding yet another.
Right. This is the Chiricahuas National Monument. It's worth seeing. When you come back out.
From there, I broke from the trail to check out the Chiricahuas National Monument and Wilderness, as suggested by our friend Woody. After having spent so much time in the desert, I was uncertain of what to expect. The Chiricahuas are a natural phenomenon of hoodoos and balancing rocks. The aftermath of a prehistoric volcanic eruption created breathtaking landscapes. Along the way, I was greeted by more local wildlife. I arrived at the Chiricahuas at twilight, and the natural wonders paired well with another memorable Arizona sunset. The Chiricahuas were recently listed on the National Register of Historic Places and are a fitting example of the natural beauty we have gratefully preserved in this land. The Butterfield itself is currently under consideration for similar national designation, and I hope, with your help, that we can bring awareness to this storied piece of American history. I'll place a link in the description of this film, but for now, enjoy. As the sun set, I stood high above the Chiricahuas, plotting where I'd lay my head that evening. I found what looked to be an excellent way to see the National Forest, high above a seldom-traveled forest road. Up Pinery Canyon, past the LT Gray Mine, 42 Delta takes you all the way up, past Bootlegger Saddle. This is one of those roads you approach in the evening without realizing the natural beauty surrounding it. I passed Rustler and Turkey Creeks, the Forest Service Station, and continued my ascent towards Peak 9308, an unnamed peak in an unknown part of a largely undiscovered state. I broke camp in near pitch darkness and quickly turned in for the evening, contemplating on the tales of the sites I'd visited that day, laying my head where again Cochise, Silas, or Lieutenant Bascom may have once slept so many years before. Sincere thank you. I hope you like and subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one.